South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Headliners. I'm Elliot Rodriguez. Last week, Miami-Dade Police Director Freddy Ramirez made headlines after he reportedly got into an argument with his wife at a police conference in Tampa and attempted to take his own life on the side of the road. We're now hearing the 911 call for help made by security at the downtown Tampa hotel where Ramirez and his wife were staying. CBS News Miami's Jacqueline Quinn has the latest developments.
The 911 audio reveals that multiple people saw the director with a gun and in some kind of argument with his wife. Was very tense, and now we know all of this didn't end there at the hotel.
I've got somebody who's is supposedly in the front drive with a gun.
Our news partners at the Miami Herald obtained the Sunday evening 911 call from the Marriott Hotel in Tampa, where Freddy Ramirez and his wife were staying. Hotel security tells police dispatch that guests made the initial reports.
Guests that were walking from the outside into the hotel said that there was a man in the drive with a gun.
Tampa police arrived to find the couple who reportedly had a heated altercation. They were questioned but not detained. However, the hotel asked them to leave.
Freddie told me he had made a mistake, that he was prepared to resign.
Miami-Dade Mayor Daniella Levine Cava revealed she spoke to Ramirez Sunday night. She did not elaborate on what Ramirez said he did wrong.
He was very remorseful, and I reassured him that we would talk the following morning.
They never had that conversation. While driving home from Tampa with his wife, Ramirez pulled over on I-75.
Around mile marker 244. The preliminary, and I say preliminary, investigation shows Director Ramirez suffered from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
After learning what happened, Mayor Levine Cava flew to the hospital where Ramirez was being treated.
I'm glad that we were able to be by his side in this time of darkness, as together we hope to see some light.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement now continues to dig deeper into what happened as Miami-Dade leaders move forward.
This is sad. This is sad. Because Freddie wasn't just a colleague, he's a friend.
In a more hopeful prospect, Ramirez's condition seems to be improving.
Every day that he is recovering, he is continuing to regain his strength. He's now alert, awake, and responsive.
2 people have been named to fill the positions that Freddy Ramirez held. Stephanie Daniels will now be the interim Miami-Dade police director. She was the deputy director there. And then J.D. Patterson, he will now be the interim director of public safety. Prior to this, he was the director of corrections and forensics for the department. I'm Jacqueline Quinn, CBS News, Miami.
And we are continuing to keep an eye on mental health in Miami-Dade. County Mayor Daniella Levine Cava says the Freddy Ramirez shooting is a tragic reminder of the mental health hazards for police. Right now, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Hotline number is seeing some of its highest call volumes ever from all walks of life. CBS News Miami's Gabriel Arzola got an exclusive look inside that call center.
For the past 6 years, the Jewish Community Services team have been operating the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline Center, and they tell me call numbers are only growing.
Thank you.
Inside the humble JCS Center in North Miami, every crisis phone call in Miami-Dade and Monroe County is answered by these folks.
This could happen to anyone.
Associate Director Richard Schutz has dedicated more than a decade to helping others in crisis. Over the years, they have heard and seen it all. But as of recently, the phones have been ringing more frequently.
Inflation and other items as such has really caused people to feel like they're in despair.
Communications manager Sarah Katzenstein tells me unaffordability in homes and food, the mental health crisis, and the lack of having someone to talk to were some of the top reasons why people would call. In the past year, their call volumes went up 28%, which translates to more than 11,000 calls, and they've received more than 226,000 texts, up 53% from last year.
Is that we are the only entity in our community that's offering the service in Miami-Dade and Monroe.
Now, these folks are not only trained crisis counselors, but they will also tailor a plan for you. They'll loop you into other local resources for free so that tomorrow could be a brighter day.
We want people to know that we are here. Maybe you might not need 988 today or tomorrow, but know that this number is here for you.
I'm Gabrielle Arzola, CBS News, Miami.
And now a story you'll see only on CBS News Miami, a remarkable story of survival from one South Florida woman. Chanel Forbes was 6 months pregnant when she was shot twice while in a car in Northwest Miami-Dade nearly 2 months ago. Her premature baby had to be delivered by emergency C-section. She has since recovered, and her little girl is being called a miracle baby. This week, we're hearing from Forbes for the first time. CBS News Miami's Peter Dench has the exclusive.
This is the first time we're hearing from Chanel Forbes. She spent 22 days here at Jackson Memorial Hospital after she was shot and was not sure if she and her unborn child would survive. Chanel Forbes may never forget what happened outside the 7-Eleven store.
We didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this, actually.
It was just after midnight on June 1st. Forbes says when her boyfriend was inside the store, her car was riddled with bullets and the windows were smashed. Forbes was 6.5 months pregnant.
They could have taken 2 lives. Absolutely.
Forbes says she was sleeping when bullets struck her in the leg and back.
Honestly, I didn't know what, I was just in shock. I was in disbelief. I don't know, I was distraught. And I just was I noticed that I was bleeding, and I tried to get out, and I couldn't because my whole leg was numb.
Forbes said doctors had to remove a kidney. She now has trouble walking.
I'm still recovering, definitely a long road to recovery. I'm going to therapy, and with everything, it left me like a drop foot, so I have no sensation in my foot.
Forbes' daughter Zoe had to be delivered that same day by C-section. She weighed just 2 pounds and 5 ounces and has been hospitalized ever since.
And she's doing great now. She is a miracle baby, yes.
Did you ever worry she might not make it? You might not make it?
At the time, yes, absolutely. When it first happened, that was my concern, was just her.
Forbes prays Zoe will continue to recover while in the intensive care unit at Holtz Children's Hospital.
She'll just be a normal baby, yes. She'll be able to have, do everything like every other baby does. And I can one day tell her this story,
Now Forbes, who had been teaching at a daycare facility, is struggling financially and is asking for help through a fundraising website. Both Miami-Dade police and Forbes could not say why her car was shot at. Detectives say they do have leads and are looking for a shooter. If you can help, call Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. In Miami, Peter Dench, CBS News Miami.
On the education front, we're seeing some furious feedback over new controversial Florida Department of Education rules that impact the way African-American history is taught in our schools. CBS News Miami's Ted Scouten spoke with the president of the Miami-Dade chapter of the NAACP about why she believes the new rules diminish and devalue Black history.
We're very outraged and angered about the attacks that continue to attack Black people and the future of our children in Florida.
Miami-Dade NAACP President Daniella Pierre not holding back while talking about the Florida Department of Education's new academic standards for teaching about African American history in Florida schools.
We need to teach the truth, not rewrite history to make some feel comfortable.
Under the new standards, instruction includes how slaves develop skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
To say that there was a perceived benefit from those who were enslaved is an unfair and unjust thing to say. People during that time suffered horribly. They were brutalized, attacked.
Seems to dilute the moral repugnance of slavery with some real kind of specious argumentation, steeped in some facts.
Richard Judd has taught social studies in Broward schools for the last 23 years.
It's actually hearkening back to a way history was told and how slavery was explained, really through the late 1800s, in sort of the process of rebuilding in America after a civil war that was divisive.
Another part of the state standards addresses race riots and massacres in the early 1900s, saying instruction includes acts of violence perpetrated against and by African Americans. State Education Commissioner Manny Diaz Jr. from Miami defends the standard, saying, as age appropriate, we go into some of the tougher subjects all the way into the beginnings of the slave trade, Jim Crow laws, the civil rights movement, and everything that occurred throughout our history. He says it will recognize African American inventors and explorers and look at the contributions of Africans to society, science, poetry, politics, oratory, literature, music, dance, Christianity, and the exploration in the United States. The NAACP said that it will continue to fight these new standards with petitions as well as legal challenges, and it will work with local school boards. In Hollywood, Ted Scout, CBS News, Miami.
When we come back, he's a former Olympic runner, but now a rare condition keeps him from even being able to stand up straight. Why he says he is struggling to get the care he desperately needs.
From South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Elliot Rodriguez. Thanks so much for watching our show. The Americans with Disabilities Act is now 33 years old, and businesses face mounting pressure to fix crippling hurdles online, web pages and apps missing required features, leaving people without sight, staring down frustration, and worse. CBS News Miami's Larry Seward explains.
33-year-old Kyle Ankney, a public relations pro who gets his clients' messages published in the likes of Forbes and GQ magazine, feels like a back page afterthought in a hospital bed where his biggest personal struggle with cerebral palsy made an on-camera interview as easy as mobile banking with unsteady hands.
Anything that is verification-based, so anything that requires me to hold my phone a certain way or at a certain distance or angle, sometimes that can be tricky because I don't have the most steady hands, and that can impede my ability to even log on to certain apps.
Access to public spaces for all people, guaranteed by the Americans with Disabilities Act, includes digital spaces where people with little to no eyesight face growing struggles.
When the pandemic hit and everything shut down, the only way to buy products was online for most people.
Attorney Diego Mendez filed one of two lawsuits in Miami federal courts Monday. Both accused big box stores of running websites missing code that allows special software to read content to people who can't see. Mendez says it's like a store with stairs and no ramp.
They have no way or nobody to call, no way to actually get the product. It's, it causes them frustration. There's also a level of embarrassment. There's a level of feeling that they're inadequate, that they're not part of society. Really, these people are marginalized to begin with.
His clients want change more than money. Usually, Mendez sees it happen before cases get to court. With the Americans with Disabilities Act hitting its 33rd anniversary Wednesday, Mendez, his clients, and Ankney hope the digital access gap closes quickly. In Doral, Larry Seward, CBS News, Miami.
We've all been there in need of a doctor's appointment and told we have to wait months for it. But what are you supposed to do if waiting months is just too long? CBS News Miami's Joe Gorcho spoke with a former Olympian now facing a debilitating diagnosis.
On Tuesday afternoon, I noticed Ronnie Halassi was hunched over nearly the entire time when washing cars in our parking lot. He's a two-time Olympic marathon runner, for those that don't recognize the name. Checking in to see if he was okay, thinking maybe he was exhausted from the heat, I came to learn he was recently diagnosed with a rare condition called functional neurological disorder. As he hopes to heal, he must wait months before seeing a specialist to devise a treatment plan.
I cannot just stand up straight.
Ronnie Halassi spends his days washing cars. While he works, it's harder for him to stand straight, a crushing feeling for the 52-year-old who once stood tall, conquering the track.
A guy who used to run 120 miles a week. And now I could hardly walk.
His feat earned him numerous medals from marathon races, recognition in local papers, and the opportunity to represent his home nation, Trinidad and Tobago, in the 1996 and 2000 Olympic Games.
I could remember that like it was yesterday. That moment was very, very special.
But he last wore a pair of running shoes to run competitively in 2017.
I was running very low and people was like, what's wrong with you? Nobody knew.
Nearly 5 years raced by without answers.
I couldn't imagine going through something that he's going to.
What conversations have you had with your son about your condition? How do you kind of manage those moments?
I really never had a conversation with him about it, but I know he's worried about me.
In May, a specialist told Halassi he suffered from a rare condition, functional neurological disorder.
No control.
Or speak clearly or not.
Speak clearly, yeah.
Halassi waited years for a diagnosis and now must wait until late October for a potential treatment plan.
Depending on the specialty, some specialties are a little bit more challenging to get patients into.
Dr. Warren Sturman is a primary care physician at Broward Health. He says always consult your primary care doctor to see how they can help intervene if there are delays in getting an appointment.
Let's say you can't get in to see the specialist. We could at least make a phone call, get some advice, talk one-to-one with a specialist, and do treatment that could tide you over until you actually get in to see them.
So the other piece of advice is to get on the doctor's cancellation list and to remain persistent in being seen. And the Mayo Clinic's website also says this about Halassi's rare condition: early diagnosis and treatment, especially education about the condition, can help with recovery. Joe Gorcho, CBS News, Miami.
So many of us who know Ronnie are pulling for him and his family. When we come back, this summer has been the hottest on record, and one South Florida staple is on a mission to keep people cool and beat the heat in a delicious way.
From South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Welcome back to our show. I'm Elliot Rodriguez. As we all deal with the hottest summer on record, we have to do whatever it takes to beat the heat. One of my favorite ways to stay cool has been around for 45 years. Recently, I paid a visit to ACs Ices, Miami's oldest food truck, where the frozen lemonade will cool you off and keep you coming back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
When it's 90+ degrees outside, ACs Ices in Coconut Grove is the place to be.
Where's AC?
That's AC, real name Alan Cohen. He's been selling frozen lemonade made daily out of a truck parked in the same spot in David Kennedy Park since 1978. Back then, Jimmy Carter was president, and Saturday Night Fever was playing in theaters. AC was a marathon runner from Michigan who fell in love with the beautiful park on the shores of Biscayne Bay.
I have a large lemonade, please.
45 years later, his customers will drive hours to get here.
One guy the other day said, he was at the window and he said, you know, I drove all the way from Hollywood. And the guy in back of him said, that's nothing. I just got off the road from North Carolina.
How long have you been coming here?
Whole life.
Really?
Yeah. My dad used to come here when he was a kid.
Besides lemonade and food, AC also sells Frisbees. Back in the day, this park had a Frisbee golf course.
It was called a disc golf course, and it was different than the Frisbees you catch. It's a smaller disc, and it goes into a basket. And this was the first one in the southeastern United States.
Frisbee golf may be gone, but AC has not lost his skills or his passion for lemonade. He's an icon, isn't he?
Totally. I mean, and it's amazing is, to me, what amazes me is that every single day you drive through here, he's here.
It's a rare thing to find in South Florida these days. You know, everything is new and changing, and it's nice to have him. And he's the real deal.
Have a good one.
He is the real deal. AC told me he has no plans to retire, but he does take vacations every 2 months. He takes a trip to a beach in the Bahamas. It's his happy place along with the park. And thank you so much for joining us this half hour on Headliners. As always, keep it right here to CBS News Miami for up-to-the-minute breaking news and weather 24 hours a day. Make it a great day.